And clearly, it's a sentiment you've embodied your whole life and something that I've tried to follow as I chart my own path as an artist.
I don't agree with the sentiment of the song, but it was really great.
The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem.
Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a word you hear all the time, but it can be a little tricky: sentiment. It can describe a super personal feeling, but also the mood of an entire country. So how can one word do so much? Let's dive in and find out. So what is it really? Is it just a fancy word for a feeling? Is it the same thing as an opinion? Or is there something else going on? You know, you can think of it like a little language puzzle, and we are going to solve it together right now. All right, let's start with the first piece of the puzzle: sentiment on a personal level. Because at its most basic, that's exactly what sentiment is. It's about a feeling.
At its core, sentiment is simply a feeling, an emotion, or an attitude. But here's the key thing to notice. It's a formal word. I mean, you probably wouldn't turn to your friend and say, "I have a sad sentiment today." You just say, "I feel sad," right? So sentiment implies a more thoughtful or formally expressed emotion. It's got a bit more weight to it. To put it really simply, it's about how you feel about something. It captures your emotional take on a person or a place or an idea. It's kind of like the vibe you get or the general attitude you hold. I'm sure you've heard this phrase before. When someone says, "my sentiment exactly," they're not just saying, "I agree with you." It's deeper than that. They're actually connecting with your feeling. It's a really powerful way of saying, "Wow, I feel the exact same way you do."
And this is where the word really starts to open up and get interesting. We've seen the personal side of sentiment, right? But its real power also comes from its ability to describe the feelings of not just one person, but of thousands or even millions of people at once.
So now let's zoom out. We're going from the personal to the public. And this is where sentiment takes on a much, much bigger and more powerful meaning. It becomes the collective voice of the crowd. This is the version of sentiment you're going to hear all the time in the news or in business reports. It's talking about the overall mood, the collective attitude, or the general opinion of a large group. You can think of it as the pulse of the public. So, for example, market sentiment tells us whether investors are feeling optimistic or kind of pessimistic about the economy. Public sentiment can describe how an entire country feels about a new law. And of course, voter sentiment is absolutely crucial before an election because it shows the general mood toward a candidate.
And the wild thing is, this collective feeling can actually be measured. For instance, analysts might poll the public on a new policy and show the results like this. You can see at a single glance that the public sentiment here is pretty overwhelmingly negative. It's like taking a snapshot of a group's collective mind.
Okay, so we've got personal sentiment and we've got public sentiment. But this brings up a really important question. When should you use the word sentiment instead of something simpler like feeling or opinion? Well, let's put them side by side. I think this will make it crystal clear. This chart right here is the key to mastering this word. Look, a feeling, that's your raw, direct gut emotion. It's best for informal, personal chats. An opinion is more about your brain. It's your rational judgment, what you think is true. But sentiment, well, sentiment kind of combines the two. It's a considered view that has emotion behind it, or it's a group's mood. That's why it's the perfect word for more formal situations or when you're talking about a whole group.
So if you remember one thing, remember this. Context is everything. It all depends on the situation. Are you talking about a quick personal emotion? Just use feeling. Are you stating a logical belief? Go with opinion. But if you're in a more formal setting or describing a group's mood, sentiment is your go-to word.
All right, the theory is great, but let's make this super practical. I'm going to give you a simple little tool, a checklist, to help you choose the absolute perfect word every single time. It's really this simple. Next time you're not sure which word to use, just ask yourself 2 quick questions. First, who am I talking about? Is it just one person or is it a group? And second, what's the situation? Is this a casual chat or is it a more formal, serious context? Your answers are going to lead you straight to the right word.
All right, let's do a quick practice round. Take a look at this sentence on your screen. The overall blank in the country is optimistic about the future. We're talking about a whole country here, which is a pretty big group. So which word fits best? And the answer is sentiment. Did you get it? It's the perfect choice here because we're describing the collective mood, the overall feeling of an entire country. That's a large group, and it's a pretty formal context. See?
Easy.
So there you have it. Sentiment is this amazing word that's both a personal, considered feeling and the collective mood of a group. And now you've got the tools to understand it and use it like a pro. And that just leaves us with one final question to think about. What do you think the current public sentiment is about the future of AI? Something to chew on. Thanks for watching.